Welcome to My Story Matters. This is the last couple weeks. Today on the podcast, we got my good friend
Mike Birkett.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Birkett or Birkett?
Potato. You can go either way, honestly.
Okay. Anytime I hear your name, I always hear Birkett.
Yeah, that's what most people go with.
Yeah.
That's what sounds the best, but it's technically Birkett.
Well, welcome on the podcast. Let's just dive right in. Why
Let's
not?
do it.
So I've been wanted you on the podcast because we're good buddies and you're just a good guy. You told me a couple things about your past and how you transferred here from Hope University and how you used to be a college athlete. You want to tell us a little bit about like your backstory and like where you're from? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I'm from Orange County. I'm from Tustin specifically, so I've lived in the same house my whole life. My whole life is here, and I've always been a big athlete, or it's at least in my family, we've always had sports as a primary focus growing up, coupled with scouting. So that combination or that balance was hard to find at times. It wasn't perfectly 50-50, probably ever.
Scouting? What's
Yeah.
that?
So have you ever heard of Boy Scouts?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what scouting is?
Yeah. I mean, there's Cub Scouts for the younger kids, maybe 1st to 5th grade, and midway through 5th grade, you transfer or you change to Boy Scouts.
Cool. So you were a Boy Scout.
I was.
Wow.
I was. Yeah. I know. I know.
Would never have thought of that, but go ahead, keep going.
So growing up, it was an interesting balance. Growing up in the church, having those two extracurriculars in sports, specifically with baseball growing up through grade school, and scouting from I think 2nd grade to all the way through my sophomore year of high school.
Oh dang.
So, but yeah, those two extracurriculars, coupled with church, were the three main things that were kind of just a constant throughout me growing up in Orange County, just throughout my childhood.
Yeah.
And as I stepped into high school, I got serious with Boy Scouts. I wanted to Eagle so I could be done, focus on basketball in school, in church. So I Eagled out my sophomore year at 15 years old, wiped my hands.
Wow.
I was done. It was a big push there at the end, but I was able to get it done with the help of my mom and my brother, my dad.
Wow.
People.
Real quick, like, I mean, I don't know that many people in Boy Scouts, and we're not really going to go deep into it, but, like, I'm just curious, like, what was that like? And if you were to say in a couple words, what was being a Boy Scout to, like, all the way up to Eagle? What is that like?
We were able to be boys.
Uh-huh.
We were able to grow up as we were meant to. We were able to be wild. We were able to be adventurous. And we were able to grow friendships and connections that would last potentially a lifetime.
Cool.
I've had some incredible experiences. I've had the privilege to travel all throughout the country to do some high adventure activities, whitewater raft, and to backpack specifically. And it was a blast of a time. We were able to travel, explore, and see the country, and just
That's cool.
learn how to be young men.
That sounds great, honestly.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time, like just being with the boys, hanging out, traveling around the world, sorry, not around the world, but the country.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Well,
Yeah.
moving on.
Okay.
let's just, so you graduated Eagle Scout, and then after that you're a senior in high school or so?
I was a sophomore in high school, and that was the time where I really started taking basketball seriously.
Okay.
My freshman year, I was pulled up to varsity. We're lucky enough to win the CIF championship.
Oh,
this
guy. Hey, we're talking to a freshman on varsity CIF champion. That's an impressive. That's an impressive ring to hold. That's an impressive name to hold.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do anything to earn it. I was pulled up right before playoffs. Was on the practice team, but just being able to see what a winning culture is like, what it means, or what's demanded of you to win, the sacrifices you have to make, the responsibility you take on, especially as a leader or a captain,
Mm-hmm.
and just learning how to overcome adversity from a young age. I've been a better man because of it,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for viewing that up front.
Yeah.
So,
So just based off the first couple minutes of this conversation, it seems like you've just learned a lot growing up from your experience in basketball and Eagle Scout, and taking those lessons and implementing them probably in your faith.
well, I had a sort of a conceptual understanding of God,
Mm-hmm.
but I never had a relationship with him when I was younger. I mean,
Mm.
obviously, if you grow up in church, you surrender your life to Christ at a young
Mm.
age, but I was not old enough to appreciate the, I guess, opportunity to have a relationship with him.
Mm.
So it just never crossed my mind. It was really just learning how to be a younger man, stepping into that, learning through sports, and that's just the way it played out.
Yeah,
So
got it. So it was really just more taking those lessons and learning how to be a man and learn how to live like this life as a young man. Like,
pretty much, yeah, pretty
cool,
much.
cool. So when did Christ kind of walk into your life?
So he's kind of always been there
Yeah,
in
that's
the
right. I
in the
forgot.
shadows, pulling the strings.
Yeah, I forgot. You mentioned that you gave your life to the Lord as a young Padawan. But
Yes, sir.
like you mentioned also that it wasn't really. It was kind of on the back burner for a while. When did it switch?
So it switched honestly last year.
Okay.
I have to build up the framework to get there.
Okay.
But it's kind of a whole journey
Okay,
that I
gotcha.
gotta
Well, go ahead. Go
take
right
you
ahead.
on.
Take me on the roller coaster, my boy.
So sophomore year, graduated with the Eagle Scouts. Started taking basketball seriously, and as a basketball player or football player, tournaments on the weekends.
Yes.
They
every
conflict with
weekend.
Sunday service.
Yeah.
So I was never able to fully grow my roots in a high school ministry or high school service.
Mm-hmm.
Never was able to plug in all the way since I was traveling for basketball.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but just around the county.
Yeah.
Going into senior year, basketball was always that constant in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Especially through that time in COVID, I was able to travel to Arizona, play some tournaments there with my club, as well as a couple of tournaments in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were fortunate enough to win another CIF championship.
Fire.
So this
2
time,
rings.
yeah, 2 rings.
Let's
With
go.
my brother Josh. Those of you who don't know him, he's also on this campus. He goes to Vanguard as a theology major.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Shout out.
Yes, sir.
I wish he was here right now, honestly.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. They both have really cool stories.
So basketball was the main thing in my life. It was my primary source of identity. I put all my eggs into that basket.
Mm-hmm.
Going into college, I was recruited to Hope International. It was a last-minute signing. Didn't get a huge scholarship, but thankfully the academic scholarship covered a good portion of the tuition. I was able to come on as a freshman, got my butt kicked in practice.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard adjusting to playing with grown 24, 25-year-old
Definitely, yeah.
seasoned basketball players. It's just a new environment. Stepping into that kind of rocked my world.
Yeah.
It was hard adjusting or going from being the guy or the number 2 to being one of the worst players on the team. So, and on top of that, I got hurt.
Oh, man.
I had
that always sucks.
Yeah, it was awful. I had a bulging disc in the L4, L5 vertebrae.
I'm not going to pretend like I know what that means.
Just know it hurts. It hurts and it's debilitating.
Oh,
So I re-injured it 3 or 4 times throughout that fall/winter of 2021, fresh out of high school. So that rocked my world.
yeah.
It shook my foundation just as a person in general. As a 19-year-old trying to make sense of the world, figure out what life has to offer. Um, and shortly after, I knew that it was not going to be found in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as my health is subject to change,
Uh-huh.
and my ability to perform is not entirely in my hands. So I transferred out of Hope to Santiago Canyon, was initially going to play on the junior college team, but I decided to quit.
Okay. Wow.
And why?
Yeah.
Just didn't have the spark anymore. The injury killed it.
Oh, man.
So I was out for about 6 or so months, did physical therapy for about 3 months, and that whole process just kind of killed it for me. Lost the spark, lost the love of the game, and it just did not have a desire to compete on the collegiate level. And for those of you who are college athletes, you are very familiar with the work
Yeah.
that is required, just the baseline minimum, 5 to 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day. It's basically a full-time job. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. No, it's definitely another commitment for sure.
Yeah, so that rocked my world. I started to look for fulfillment in other avenues, mainly trying to grow my understanding of the world or grow my understanding in general.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just a direct contradiction of Proverbs 3.
Uh-huh.
Definitely was leaning on my own understanding to rationalize what was going on, my circumstances, my changing family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a tough time. It was rough. I didn't have a foundation. It crumbled beneath my feet. I was free falling there for a minute, for maybe about a year and a half. But thankfully, even in that time of despair and emptiness, the Lord was able to reach his hands into the dirt, into the grime, and pull my soul out of the dirt and redeem me. So
yes, sir.
So
Very cool. What did that?
Yeah.
What did that process sort of look like? Like if you are open to going into like some of the details, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the struggles, and was there like ever a barrier between you and God that like you didn't want to cross, or was there just like you didn't really think about it and you were just trying to figure things out on your own first?
Well, it was interesting because deep down I knew he was the answer from the beginning. From the start of those feelings of despair, feelings of emptiness, I knew he was the answer, but I just chose not to go down that road. I wanted it for myself. I wanted to figure it out for myself. Yet, I was unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to grow my understanding. I tried to grow my capacity just as a human being, but it was never enough. The underlying purpose, the why, I could never answer it by myself. That was the big question ringing around my mind for about a year and a half there, from the time I left Hope International to around maybe January of last year. I was wrestling with the concept of fulfillment. Tried to find it in different avenues, like I've been saying before, but ultimately it's God found me. I didn't find him.
Hey, come on.
It was a process. It's knocking on the door of my heart for a while.
Dang.
I just, at one point, chose to open it.
Come on.
And answer the door.
Let's go.
So
for those, for the people watching that like don't necessarily understand what you mean by fulfillment, like that question, could you kind of explain more of that question? Because we were talking about it a couple of days ago, and we were relating it to the book of Ecclesiastes, of course. But what was the question that you were asking yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'll try. I'll try and communicate it with the best I can. So for some reason, something happened in my life to where I just started asking the question, why?
Yeah.
Why even invest in myself? Why even grow my knowledge? Why even apply myself in school or in the workforce or in general? And because we all have eternity etched on our hearts, and we all have this underlying desire to understand the why, to answer that question.
Yeah.
And that's what philosophy is for. That's what religion is for. They answer those questions. They're just different answers and different ways of going about things.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled, tried to find it within myself internally. I tried to derive meaning from life through my means, and I found that my brain was too small, my understanding was too limited,
Mm-hmm.
but there is an answer out there, and I found the Lord.
Yeah.
I answered it. I read the book of Ecclesiastes around September or October of 2023, and that was what really started to sort of accelerate the process of finding that answer. For those of you who don't know, who haven't read it, it's a small, maybe 12-chapter book after Proverbs,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
But everyone should read it, and here's why. There's this man, Solomon, or at least the author describes a man who essentially, for all intents and purposes, has unlimited wealth, unlimited resources. He has many wives, servants, maids, money,
Mm-hmm.
land,
Mm-hmm.
food, anything that you would ever want, and that any physical desire or means of, I guess, means of fulfilling that desire,
Mm-hmm.
he had access to it. Yet, he said it was like a vapor and grasping for the wind. If someone like him, who could be one of the richest people in human history, if he couldn't find the answer through physical means, if he couldn't find the fulfillment through that, how can I?
Yeah.
Just a regular Joe Schmo,
Yeah.
19, 20-year-old who's trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
And after reading that, the hook started to sink in, and he started to pull me back into church. It was with a friend and I who grappled with the same question, and it would be like sort of inaccurate to paint this picture without his contributions to my wrestling with this question, and vice versa.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the real answer to that question, because I feel like it's always important to incorporate just the answer. But if you don't mind, I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
Because okay, I told you this, but I want to tell people too. I'm doing a short film on basically this concept of like our why, like what's the meaning of life essentially. And so I was doing my research and I was reading the book of Ecclesiastes, of course. I was reading Acts, and just so I can get a deeper understanding, I asked Bill Doctrum, and he actually kind of fixed my view on it, like, because the view that I came to him with was, like the meaning of life isn't about experiencing life or romantic love, or it's not even about like being selfless. It's not even about serving. Like those are all good things. But what he says Solomon was saying in Ecclesiastes was all of that is vain. Even being selfless, even serving, all of that is still vain. And the only thing that will fulfill us is a relationship with the Lord. And then out of that comes your selfless acts. Out of that comes serving others. Out of that comes this love for other people. The fruits, basically. But it starts in the foundation. Like we were talking, like the foundation, you have to have a foundation. So, yeah, just to answer that question.
Yeah.
Which I think you would have said too, but I don't know, I wanted to say it.
I don't know. It's well said.
Yes, sir. So after that, what did it look like for you?
A lot of resistance to his will, but a lot of grace on his end for my lack of understanding. And still, I'm still surrendering my pride and my desire to navigate life, the desire for control, the desire to answer every question. So it's been a battle. It's been a battle,
Yeah.
but man, it's been great. Growing in faith, growing in acceptance for His character, for His love, and for His grace,
Yeah.
and for His justice. I've been trying to unlearn a lot of bad habits that I've built up for myself, mainly just relying on my own understanding. Having to do that for the first, I don't know, 20 years maybe, since I never really had a relationship with Him. And my brother, he's been teaching me on what it means to accept the Lord's will, and especially when it comes to Scripture, and trying to unveil the truths about God and how He's created this world and so on and so forth. That's what it's about, because He's the one who has the infinite understanding. Mine is finite.
Yeah.
It's confined by the bounds of reality, my experience, and my knowledge. So I'm on the inside looking out.
Yeah.
He's on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
He can see the full picture. He's outside of time. He's outside of space, and He's outside of matter. He isn't confined by the things that we are. So I might as well just trust Him.
Might as well.
Might as well.
Might as well.
Easier said than done.
Well, most
But,
definitely.
Yeah, easier said than done. But hence the need for faith.
Yeah.
Hence the need. So I don't know if that answers that question.
No,
but
that definitely does. Is there anything else that you want to kind of give to the congregation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a call to action.
Okay.
We were talking about this before as you're setting up, but I want you guys to ask yourself, who is God to you?
Oh, yes.
Who's God to you? So, and if you can't answer that question, go on a journey. Try and find it. Go to the Word. Go through other people. Seek wise counsel. Seek their experience or knowledge through their experience. Seek wisdom. And immerse yourself in the Word. Start by examining His character. And inevitably, when you realize that it is all good, incorruptible, then it will become easier to answer that question. Contemplate His nature and ask yourself what it truly means to walk by faith.